Hi lovelies. So this is a Galactic Mayan Astrology report for the 21st of August 2019. So we're moving into another Wavespell, and the energy of the Wavespell that we're moving into is the energy of yellow sun. So we've got Red Dragon, which is the first of the 20 signs, which is all about birth and femininity and mothering and creation. And then we have Yellow Sun, which is the final of the 20 signs, which is all about the divine masculine. It's about the sum of all parts. It's about really embodying the experiences that we've had and the truth of who we are. So at the moment, I am currently working through some physical stuff. I feel like I've had so much input and expansion and excitement and all the rest of it that I've kind of been in this incredible space. And my body is now going right, slow down, catch up, recalibrate, and I've been going through some really, really amazing healings, as I think a lot of us have as well, really integrating those parts of us, but sometimes on the physical body that can take its toll, and that's totally cool. I'm currently working with this energy of being able to rest and surrender into that, which I find a little bit difficult sometimes, and this is kind of part of the Yellow Sun process. It's like being able to accept and surrender to the parts, and to the experiences that we kind of rather not be having. It's like I could sit here and be like, I really want to do all of these things that are on my to-do list, and my body's gone like, well, you can't. And again, so if you think about it as like, we've been brought up within this space of this is good and this is bad, this part of you is good, this part of you is bad, and all of the suppression that comes with that. It's like we really allow ourselves to be seen in the light of who we are, and we really hide the shadow of who we are. Yellow Sun energy is really about being able to go like, this is the whole of me, and within the individual relationship within ourselves, being able to go like, okay, I accept that. I accept that I'm not there yet. I accept that bit of me is still growing. And it's not even just like I guess I'm going to have to accept it and I'm going to do my best to have to accept it. It's really this shift in the perspective that's actually more about being able to say, no, it's all part of the same thing. It's just as worthy, it's just as relevant, it's just as whatever as any other part of me. So for me now, with this experience that I'm having of being a bit ill, it's very rare that I get ill, but this experience that I'm having, it's like, that's not productive to sit and rest, to sit and watch a film. That's not a productive way to spend my time. I should be doing this, that and the other. But it's really about being able to recognise, actually, no, this is just as valuable as crafting the creations that I put out in the world, as building my new website, as all of these different things that I could put in that fill in the blank space. It's really recognising, actually, this is just as valid. And that is the Yellow Sun journey. It's really about looking at the whole picture. So I have a very good friend she's a beautiful woman, and she works with something called internal family systems. So internal family systems is this idea that we have this myriad of different selves within ourself, these minor parts of the whole self, and it's about reintegrating the parts of us that have been banished. She is a Yellow Sun, so she really embodies, her work and her life embodies the journey of Yellow Sun. So we're all going through the process within this 13-day Wavespell about looking at the different parts of us that are reflected in other people too. It's not just that we've got this separation of that person's not good and I need to learn to accept them. It's like, okay, what they're highlighting to me is a part of myself that I have shamed so much I'm not even able to see. The universe is bringing it to me so that I can see that this is another me. And being able to really drop into that space of, okay, how can I accept this? How can I accept this person? How can I accept this part of myself and still love? And that's not to say that we don't need to set boundaries. Obviously, boundaries are a really important thing, and they're a really loving thing as well. And again, the boundaries and discipline within ourselves, it's really good to cultivate that energy. But at the same time, can we do that without making the other person wrong? Can we do that without having that person, you know, needing to have that person as a bad guy, or needing to have that part of ourselves as a bad part in order to, you know, bring it home, you know? So we've got this real, like, we've really got this energy of kind of looking at the whole of ourselves and being able to really settle into that. So like for me, I know that I've got like a lot of different parts of myself, you know, as we all do. And I'm really aware of a lot of different parts of myself and different parts of my personality that come forward at different times when interacting with different people. And, you know, all of these different things, there are certain parts of myself that I'm still not in a good relationship with, that I still feel icky about, that I'm still like, oh, it'll be okay when I've overcome that. Okay, I'll be able to accept that within myself when it doesn't look like that. You know, and this Yellow Sun journey is really about how can we love ourselves there? How can we be that parent that we never had, that we really wanted, that was able to love us there when we'd made a mess, when we didn't look right, when we didn't get it right? How can we meet ourselves there and love ourselves there? So this Yellow Sun energy as well, because it's yellow, it's about flowering, it's about opening, it's about allowing ourselves to be seen. It's about, a lot of the time, when we feel these parts of ourselves that we don't want the world to see, that we feel ashamed of, it's like another part of ourselves is created to bounce that off. So it's about really trying to, in the same way as when we've been going through this previous blue hand journey, opening that softness. You know, what is it that we need to do in order to allow ourselves to process? But also within Yellow Sun, it's about how do we let ourselves be seen? How do we take off the masks? How do we take off the, I need to look like this in front of the world? How do we allow that softness that we've cultivated within the blue hand journey to be seen, to be witnessed? What do we need to do in order to allow the whole spectrum of ourselves to be witnessed? And you know, personally, I feel that that is about accepting ourselves. It's like if we can allow ourselves to see that part, you know, one of my big things is eating. I took away a lot of different addictive behaviours with different substances, and the thing that I'm really left with now is food. And you know, how can I personally love myself even when I'm eating shit? And I go through this whole journey when it comes to my eating patterns of like eating really well, falling off the wagon, surrendering to it and being like, no, it's okay to do this, gaining weight, feeling crazy ashamed of that, pushing that away, and then creating this big divide within myself. So how can I personally bring that into balance and be able to be like, okay, so this is a tiny speck of my entire life. When I look at my life pie and the different areas of my life, this whole part of my life is lit up at the moment and I'm firing on full cylinder, you know, on full cylinder, not even the same, you know what I mean? And yet that part of my life, this relationship with food, is a bit out of balance at the moment. But when I look at the whole of my life pie, can I be grateful for myself? Can I recognise where I'm at? And it's the same for all of us, you know, it's like really checking in with and not hiding from it as well. You know, a real big part of this Yellow Sun energy is being able to see it all, not needing to hide from it, not needing to pretend that it's not there, not needing to disconnect from that part of us that is struggling, that isn't getting it perfect. It's being able to really see that. It's like being honest with ourselves that there's some kind of imbalance going on there. But then, with that, putting it into perspective of the whole picture, seeing where we're at with the whole, and then maybe figuring out from that space, what can we do to make it better? When we're in a loving space, when we hold those parts of us in a loving space, then we can see how we can best support ourselves. Whereas if we've shamed ourselves, which is what we've been taught to do at this time on planet Earth, you know, we are now living as a result of a lot of dogma around shaming, which has created this divide within us. And obviously as the generations go on, we're like living within the result of all of that. And it's really this like, okay, so how do we allow ourselves to see ourselves, to really be ourselves, because underneath that shame there's always something that needs healing. And often the shame prevents us from getting to the gateway of allowing ourselves to drop into that perhaps uncomfortable space of healing. But when we replace the shame with love, then we're creating the perfect container to be able to drop in and heal. So really within this yellow sun, we're really going to have the opportunity probably to meet our shadow parts, you know, to see it reflected in the outer world, to really feel that, like, oh, I feel gutted that this is still happening. I feel gutted that that person's doing this to me. I feel gutted because whenever that person is doing that thing to you, it's your stuff. You are magnetising that situation, and that, you know, whatever comes with that, you know, it's like the magnet of that is within us. So if we can begin to let go of that magnet, then that isn't there anymore. But sometimes within that little frame of that kind of behaviour, or of that understanding, or of that perspective, it's perhaps not universal truth, but within that perspective, which is a perspective that I share from, if we are magnetising that behaviour, sometimes what that can do is create this space of shame. Oh, and then we go into the victim. And then when we're in that victim space, myself included, we're not able to step into the learning, we're not able to step into the empowerment, we're not able to step into the change or the healing, because the shame has put us into that, oh, I didn't do it right, or it's not been okay, and da 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 da. And then we're kind of in that, like, poor me space that prevents us from stepping in and being like, right, okay, there's something going on here. There's something going on, and I can change it, and I can heal from it, and I can drop into the understanding of what is going on. So it's really this, like, pulling ourselves back from shame all the time in whatever way, to really create that safe vessel, which means that we can evolve and step up within ourselves to be in our power. And for me, like, the idea of evolving is just getting closer and closer to being the one in the driving seat of our experiences all the time, consciously, you know, not coming from a space of old story. And we've got a lot of old stories, so it takes time, a lifetime, to get into that space where we are in the driving seat all the time. So really within this Wavespell process, as I say, you know, we're going to meet a lot of our shadow parts. We're going to maybe have to see the duality to really allow ourselves to attempt to bring it into acceptance of the whole picture. You know, really integrating those parts of ourselves that we've perhaps put out in the cold. And whenever people are reflecting that back to us, shaming us in whatever way, telling us off, telling us that our behaviour is not acceptable, that's because in us we are feeling that way. So whenever we get that bounce back, it's like, wow, okay, so it feels really shitty to be rejected right now, or whatever emotion is there. But underneath that, why am I feeling like that about myself? Why have I let that part of me be pushed out into the cold? What is that part needing? You know, that part of us that might be really moody, that part of us that might be a bit aggressive. What's underneath that? You know, what is that aggression? What is that moodiness? What is that whatever needing? You know, what is underneath it? How can we drop into that space of really figuring out what the need that isn't being met is? And then how can we meet that need? But it's like really within this journey, it's like taking off the layers. It's like the, what are those dolls that stack inside each other? It's like, okay, here's the experience that I'm having now, but can I take that off? Okay, so a little bit closer to the core of it is that, okay, you know, and like blah, 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 Russian dolls. So getting to the core of the thing, which is that little person inside of us that's feeling sad and hurt. But it's not about stepping into I am that. It's about, okay, I'm the parent of you, little one. What do you need? How can I best help you? How can I love you? Creating that dialogue and stepping into that space where you are the sum of all parts. You are the sun, yeah? You are the collective of all of those different parts of you that wobble and all the rest of it, but you are the one that is the container. And then you can give space to all the old stories, you can give space to all the old selves, you can give space to it all, but you are the one that is holding that. And then from that space, the integration and the healing happens. Whereas when you're in one of those little bits, when you're in one of those micro personalities, the past self, the situation from whenever, and you're still working from that victim space, there's no way to shift it. Whereas when you're you and interacting with the part of you that feels victimised or whatever, but you're holding the space, then that part of you can settle into being part of the whole again. So within this wave spell, to sum up, we may have experiences where we feel split into a million different directions, where we feel very unsafe, unsettled and whatever, and really the wave spell journey and the process that we're invited to go through within this energy is really about how can we collectively, as ourselves, pull everything back into centre and hold space and accept that we're not perfect, accept that we are all of those different parts of us, all of those different experiences that we've had have created this awesome human being which you are, which we all are. So there's also a wave spell meditation journey available if you look on my website, joyofferings.com. There's also a few other wonderful things in there. I'm writing a book at the moment, a mini book about Mayan astrology, so that'll be coming out in a little while. But there's also loads of other offerings as well on my website, so have a little look at that if you feel drawn to. Like I said, today I'm not firing on full capacity, and that's part of my yellow sun process. I often find that because I'm sharing a lot about the wave spell journeys, sometimes my process I feel like starts a little earlier, so that I can really have the like direct boom experience to then be able to plug my channel into and bring forward from. So yeah, so for me there's like a real energy of surrender to not being super productive all the time, because I want to be really productive all the time, and that's part of my like conditioning of the academic self, of being the good girl that gets it right, that achieves, that does this, that and the other. Actually, can I be the one that sits on my bum for a few days and doesn't do anything, and that's just as worthy as of love? Oh golly gosh. So yeah, I hope you have a lovely wave spell, and I'll see you on the other side. Loads of love. Mwah.